Hello, my brothers and sisters in Christ. This is Colin Van Wardenberg, Seminary for the Diocese of Gary, here for our very last Marian apparition video. As we have hinted at in the last few videos, our assignment here is coming to an end, and so this will be our last Marian apparition video. But it's certainly not the least among the ones that we have presented to you. This story is about yet another French Marian apparition that occurred in Pontmain, France, which is in the northern part of the country, in a small village called Pontmain. And this apparition occurred in 1871 during the Franco-Prussian War, which many of you might not know was a major war that happened between Prussia, which was becoming Germany at the time, and France, and led to a lot of the political difficulties that would lead to the First and Second World War. So the part of the country around Pontmain was being ravaged by the Prussian/German troops, and people were very afraid that the advancing armies of Germany were going to come through that area soon. As a matter of fact, they were probably only miles away. And while two farming children were with their father tending their horses at about 6 p.m. in the evening, they saw Our Lady appear in the sky. And as with many of these apparitions, Our Lady was in the appropriate cultural dress, but she had a blue cloak on and a black veil, and the blue cloak had these golden stars on it, and she wore a crown. And the people naturally began to all see this, or actually instead, only the children could see Our Lady. The adults and anyone else in the village could see no more than 3 stars forming the shape of a triangle. That's all they could see from Our Lady. But the children could see everything from Our Lady. And so the people began to gather around as more and more children came and began to see the same thing without even hearing the other descriptions the children had been giving. They all gave the same description of Our Lady. And so the pastor of the church came, the sister, the nun who was the school teacher in the village, they all came together, and the people of the village were all saying the rosary together. And this very clearly pleased Our Lady. And a banner actually unfurled under her stating that God would answer the prayers of the children. He would answer their requests. He would be easily moved by their prayers. And so they continued and began a joyful hymn celebrating Our Lady as a mother of hope. And interestingly enough, as they were clapping and singing very joyously, Our Lady smiled and laughed and began to sing with them. I would just like to stop for a moment and just say, could you imagine that image? Just seeing Our Lady and hearing her smiling and laughing and singing a hymn with you? That must have been a truly incredible sight. Truly something that would pierce someone's heart. And after they completed this hymn, they began a penitential hymn. And at that, Our Lady's expression changed very greatly, and she became very saddened. As a matter of fact, one of the children who had seen this apparition, who later became a priest dedicated to spreading the message of Our Lady, said that he believed it was the same sort of sorrow as the sorrow that Our Lady felt at the foot of the cross, and that she was so stricken with grief. And a red crucifix appeared, a very large red crucifix showing the cause of her sorrow. And after they had finished this penitential hymn and began continuing with their hymns and their prayers, she returned to her smiles and her laughter and just kind of participating in this spiritual time of prayer with them. And eventually they said evening prayer, and after Our Lady had extended her arms to the people once again, showing that she was willing to embrace the whole world, they continued on with their prayer, and after they had finished evening prayer, Our Lady disappeared. And this was about 9 o'clock, so Our Lady had been appearing to them continuously for about 3 hours. Interestingly enough, this apparition of Our Lady, which was given the title Our Lady of Hope, or Our Lady of Pontmain, where a basilica is now in Pontmain dedicated to Our Lady of Hope, even though none of the adults in the village could see Our Lady, in fact, there was a Prussian military unit that was planning to advance on the area where the village was in, but they were stopped because the soldiers could see a Madonna in the sky, the Madonna being Our Lady, and they were afraid to go forward because they could see Our Lady. So interestingly, not all adults were kept from being able to see Our Lady, And so in a way she protected the village from harm, and it was not long after this apparition happened that peace was signed between the two countries and the war ended. So really, my brothers and sisters, I think that in reflection, Our Lady is once again showing how dedicated that she is to helping us, how deeply in love she is with the people of God, and how much of a tender mother she actually is. And in more than just a sort of title we give her, but she really is our mother, our spiritual mother, and we are her children. And she's calling us to restore that sense of childlike innocence that many of us think that we lose as we grow older, and showing that if we become childlike, we will see her and we will see her Son face to face. So with that, my brothers and sisters, I have really enjoyed this series. I hope that you have as well. And I just want to thank you for this opportunity to present this message of our mother and her beloved Son to us and to the whole world. God bless.